Welcome to a brand new day on the AM show. I know it's been a while. We'll be talking about that. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and of course I do this always with Bernice Abubedu Lanza. If you've not seen her in a while, you will be seeing her, God willing, today. Thank you for joining us on the AM show. So coming up today, we're going to be discussing major matters of concern to Ghanaians. We'll start with that parliamentary probe that has been going on as far as that leaked tape in the Ghana Police Service is concerned. We'll be bringing you the scoop on that, as now we look forward to the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, showing up before that parliamentary committee. We'll bring you the scoop on that. Also coming up, cocoa prices have moved up from 800 cedis per bag to 1,308 cedis per bag. Now, this means the current tonnage price has moved from 12,800 Ghana cedis to 20,943 Ghana cedis. That is an increment of about 63.5%. But the point is, when Mr. President says that this increment is about 70% and that this is a 15-year high of the cocoa price, is that the accurate picture? This statistic has been met with mixed reactions by some stakeholders in the industry and some economists on what this means for the overall economy and the cocoa farmers themselves. Inflation, for example? We'll be discussing those issues this morning on the show. But also coming up, a disaster that has hit us. 5 people are reported dead with 4 injured in yet another ghastly explosion in Shama, Antwerp, in the western region. Now, search teams are racing against time for 3 persons suspected to be Chinese that are unaccounted for. Causes of the blast are yet to be established. We'll be bringing you a blow-by-blow account of what exactly has transpired so far. That, together with sports and everything else in between. Just stay with us. We'll be right back with the news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get now into our first story for the news. And officials of the National Disaster Management Organization are making frantic efforts to rescue some workers of G. Omanai Quarry who are still trapped under rubble after the explosion at the quarry site on Saturday. Now, though the cause of the explosion is yet to be established, 5 people have been confirmed dead, with some 5 others injured. District NADMO Director Michael Nyan, who is leading the rescue mission, says about 3 other communities have been affected by the explosion.
The latest issue on the ground is yet we haven't found the missing staff. So we are also searching for them. But as I'm speaking to you now, we haven't seen anyone.
Have you been able to establish the cause of this explosion?
We haven't. At the moment, we haven't. But with National Service crew, they are on the ground. So by the course of the day, maybe the cause of the fire will be established. 5 were injured, 4 are missing, which we are not finding them. So at the moment, this force is on the ground.
Now, we know that some residents and communities have also been affected by this explosion. You've been doing an assessment of the area. What's the impact?
Yes, some of the communities around the place have been affected. About 4 or 5 communities were affected by their buildings. Their buildings, they are receiving on cracks, ceiling, and some of the chip compounds also affected. So we are collating the data. So we won't finish today. Maybe tomorrow that you.
Now, Member of Parliament for Shama, Samuel Erickson Abaka, says they are still searching for the owners of the quarry site, who are Chinese nationals, even as the police commences investigations into the cause of the explosion.
Briefly, 4 Chinese are missing, but we can't say for sure whether they are on the run or they have buried by the government. So investigation is still ongoing. Because from the bodies recovered, so the 3 Ghanaians and 1 Chinese have committed. They have died. Others have also been returned from hospital. 4 are still receiving treatment on admission. So the Chinese, the 4 Chinese, I can't say for sure, they're still searching through, but the vehicles were badly damaged. And at the time of the hour that night, between 10 to 11 o'clock, one wonders whether they will have any little escape, looking at the rapidity of the explosion.
Meanwhile, the Western Regional Minister, Kwabena Darko-Mensah, has told journalists that the company at the center of the explosion, Star Axums Enterprise, formerly known as Omni Quarry, is not fully licensed to operate per his checks with the Minerals Commission. The regional minister has, however, assured that owners of the quarry will be brought to book while pledging to intensify visits to both mining and quarry sites in the region to avert possible disasters. He made the statement when he visited the scene of the explosion, which has so far claimed some lives with scores injured.
I believe that we need to intensify our monitoring of all the sites that we have. The other one was like gold, but this one is a quarry. Irrespective of that, they are all mining sites, and we need to look at our safety critically. My information is that the Minerals Commission has not gone through all the process with them. So now that we are doing an investigation, we should be able to catch up with the owners of the mine and then go forward, investigate, and see exactly what is happening already. And we are aware that 4 people have died, and then another 4 are injured. 2 or 3 of them are in critical condition. 1 is better, but the other 2 is very critical, and 1 has been discharged. We have to send our heartfelt condolences to the family of all those who have lost their lives because of this incident. But I strongly believe that we need to intensify our inspections on all the mining sites that we have. This is an old mine, and I believe that they should have been doing the right thing. The fire service is here, the police is here, and then they are doing their investigations. If you look at the way the bodies had been tattered because of the blast, you could actually feel the impact of the blast on the mine. But I believe that we'll be able to get to the bottom of the cause of the incident and put in the remedies that are needed. My information from the Minerals Commission is that they have not been fully licensed. So I believe that is part of the process. I don't know how they got started mining without the full complement of their licenses. But I also do believe that if they knew that they have started the process, they should have also been monitoring them as we are going through the process.
Well, from the Western region, let's head now to the Ashanti region, where some cocoa farmers are convinced that the new producer price of cocoa will discourage smuggling of the commodity to neighboring countries and exchange of arable farmlands for illegal mining. President Kofi over the weekend announced a new upward adjustment for the cash crop from 800 Ghana cedis to 1,308 Ghana cedis per bag. The price increment is the highest witnessed across West Africa in the last 15 years. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has more in this report.
For many years, cocoa farming communities on Ghana's fringes are reportedly known to smuggle cocoa beans to neighboring countries, mainly Ivory Coast and Togo, a perennial problem that has cost the country large quantities of cocoa beans for exports. Ghana's recent economic meltdown, coupled with the craze to excavate gold by artisanal miners, have also contributed significantly to the loss of arable cocoa farmlands. Reports suggest that in the 2022-2023 crop year alone, Ghana lost 1,150,000 metric tons of beans to smuggling and illegal mining. Speaking at the opening of the 2023-2024 cocoa season, Food and Agric Minister Brian Champon bemoaned the activities of smugglers.
There have been several reports of smuggling of cocoa from Ghana to our neighboring countries, and this has contributed adversely to the country's production capacity. The sad part of this unfortunate situation is that the individuals who are engaged in this nefarious act of smuggling are neither the farmers nor cocoa board who have contributed to the production of the cocoa, but rather private merchants who regrettably contribute absolutely nothing to the country's production capacity.
A primary reason fueling the seemingly unending act was the huge cost differential between the countries. In tackling the menace, the Ghanaian and Ivorian governments adopted and implemented the living income differential to cushion farmers against low international market price. President Akufo-Addo says the scheme has increased the average income of farmers.
One of the first decisions that I took as President of the Republic was to sign a strategic partnership agreement with the great President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, His Excellency Alassane Ouattara, which united the cocoa sectors of the two nations and helped us tackle common challenges in the industry. This cooperation has already yielded good results for the industry as we've been able to adopt and implement the living income differential, LID. The LID has increased the average farmer's income by $700 United States per ton.
Under the theme Securing Decent Incomes for Cocoa Farmers, the opening of the new crop season saw the government announce a historic 63.5% upward adjustment on the price of cocoa. A bag of cocoa would now go for 1,308 cedis, while a ton sells at 20,948 cedis. For a number of farmers, the new price would improve their livelihoods as it discourages smuggling and exchange of farmlands for illegal mining. The price was initially good in Côte d'Ivoire, but I doubt any farmer would smuggle cocoa to the country given the new price adjustment.
From now onwards, the pruning, the hand pollination, all the agronomic practices, we are going to make sure that it is being done well, so that the production will be increased.
The government, meanwhile, says it remains committed to eliminating cocoa smuggling. Brian Champon again.
I only have one assurance to give to the nation. I will not disappoint Ghanaians in our quest to stop smuggling. Where I am from, we will say, Afi, cocoa smuggling, yebehe.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, let's keep our eyes trained on the agricultural sector because President Akufo-Addo has urged traditional authorities to release land to facilitate large-scale commercial farming under Phase 2 of government's Planting for Food and Jobs program. He proposes a flexible payment arrangement between the custodians of land and farmers rather than the present order of upfront payment. The president also wants chiefs to refrain from releasing agricultural designated land for real estate development. Nanaya Juma was at the president's meeting with the National House of Chiefs in Kumasi and filed this report.
Majority of the 15.7 million hectares of agricultural lands in the country are owned by traditional authorities. Under the PFJ2, at least an agricultural zone of 300 hectares will be developed through public-private partnership. The zones will have all the necessary infrastructure to ensure all year-round farming. President Akufo-Addo is pleading with custodians of the land on flexible terms since upfront payment
News now, and Olam Food Ingredients, as part of measures taken to improve the health care in the country as well as reduce maternal mortalities, has refurbished the Mesidan Chips compound with equipment worth thousands of cedis. The move, according to the president of Olam's women group, GROW, Sylvia Araba Amasari, is part of the group's corporate social responsibility, which aims at improving the health status of women and children in its operational areas. And Asabit has the rest of the story.
Rural communities in Ghana continue to face health-related challenges, including limited healthcare facilities, poor road conditions, amongst others. Here in Mesidan, a farming community in the Techima North District of the Borno East region, the community's health-based planning services compound has been without certain basic medical equipment to aid healthcare delivery, and this includes the lack of delivery beds needed to support pregnant women in labor. Dorothy Dasa is a staff midwife here at the Mesidan Chips compound.
Usually we used to have a lot of challenges. Some, when we have our labor ward, we are not having the standard bed, which used to make delivering difficult. Sometimes in the process of doing the delivering, how to put the mother in the correct position is not picking up. And then in forms of delivering equipment and things, most of the things we're having was outmoded. Some, they are not sharp. You have to improvise in other ways to make things possible for us.
She says the situation is adversely affecting their work, and pregnant women in the area choose to travel to Techima during labor to ensure they don't deliver on the floor.
Those who are a bit exposed to other facility environment and things, because we're not having those available equipment, they will prefer going to town, because coming here to lie on the floor and they will not get a proper bed to even lie on to deliver, we feel that it's better I go to the town to do that delivery.
The government, as a means of dealing with these menace, constructed this structure to serve as a labor ward for the community. However, this structure, even though commissioned recently, has not been in use, as it has been without medical equipment, and Olam Food Ingredients, as part of its corporate social responsibilities, embarked on a project to refurbish this ward with the needed facilities to aid healthcare delivery. Sylvia Araba Ama Asari is the group president for OFI Ghana.
Mesidan is one of the communities where we do cashew. So we've done other projects elsewhere. So this time we said that, let's come to Mesidan and see how we can impact maternal health. So when we came, we realized what could create more impact here is to have a refurbished delivery ward or a maternity ward, and also a shed where mothers can come and listen to the message of breastfeeding, and then an overhead tank that will help improve the health of the Mesidan community.
She noted that the move also aims at improving safe deliveries as well as reducing the community's maternal mortality rates.
We got to know that some women are not having access to medical care or health care, especially during pregnancy, and that has caused the lives of many mothers. And so we are hoping that with this new facility, the care will be enhanced and issues of maternal mortality will reduce, and more women can come and go back home and deliver safely as well.
Queen Mother of Mesidan, Nanafa Adumako II, was full of praises to Olam Food Ingredients and urged them to do more for the community. Also present at the brief ceremony is the Chief of Mesidan, Nana Kwesi Tribumpon II, the General Manager of OFI Ghana, Yusuf Amankwa, amongst others. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Mesidan.
Let's head now to the Upper West region, where the principal of McCoy College of Education in the Nadoli Kaleo district, Reverend Father Peter Paul Yeletwo, has expressed worry over the myriad challenges that have bedeviled the college since its establishment almost 10 years ago. Key among them is the lack of a fence wall around the college, which gives the opportunity to hoodlums and sexual predators to have a field day, thereby putting the lives of the students at stake. Well, Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Nadoli.
Speaking at the first congregation of the McCoy College of Education, principal of the college, Reverend Father Peter Paul Yeletu, enumerated the successful struck since its establishment almost 10 years ago, graduating maze of students.
Prof. Chairman, I would like to bring to your notice that with the results we are celebrating, we have 1 pass, 27 third class, 50 second class lower division, 56 second class upper division, and 9 first classes.
The college was established by the Wa Catholic Diocese to augment government effort in providing quality education to the people of Ghana. It operated for 4 years as a private institution before it was absorbed by the government as a public institution. Despite the remarkable successes shocked, it is still bedeviled with myriad of challenges, according to Reverend Father Peter Paul Yeletu.
We lack classroom and dormitory accommodation space. It is so dear that we have to hire 3 different private properties for students' accommodation for the past 5 years. It takes a lot of our internally generated fund to pay for these private properties. We lack the needed computers and furniture to catch up with the fast advancing technological world.
There is also the issue of lack of a fence wall around the college, which gives opportunity for marauding armed robbers and sexual predators to have a full day, who they want to draw the attention of the government to.
There is an urgent need for a fence wall around the college land. This will provide security for human persons and college property. We have had 2 attempted rape reports from outside and 3 robbery cases. We were lucky to apprehend one of the perpetrators of the last robbery, who took away a mobile phone from a student girl. He has since been jailed for 15 years. And at the moment, we are dealing with another robbery case. The police are still investigating.
Our Pawasunian Minister, Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, accepted to help fill some of the challenges cherry-picking on the construction of the fence wall. Dr. Bin Sali, however, was not happy with the poor performance of candidates in the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BCE, in the region, urging the newly trained teachers to come on board with positive energy to reverse the negative trend.
The Nadoli district has experienced a downward trend in the BECE performance for a couple of years. This is not a good development, and we cannot apportion all the blame to the pupils. The district assembly, through the district education oversight committee, has been working hard to address this problem. The poor attitude of some teachers, such as absenteeism and drunkenness during working hours, has also caught the attention of stakeholders. Against this background, I urge our newly trained teachers to come on board with positive energy to help reverse this negative trend.
And that is the note on which we cap off the news this morning. But do stay with us. Up next, we bring you the news review. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the newspapers and find out what they have to say. And joining me this morning, Benjamin Kofi Kwashi. He is Council of Elders Chair with NDC South Africa. He joins us for the news review. But right before I bring him in, well, you've seen him already. A very good morning to you, sir.
You.
I am okay.
Good morning to you and to our cherished viewers as well.
Right, interesting dash of pink there with the dress you're wearing.
Thank
but
you.
This segment always brought to us by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's what they're offering you. If you're a man, prostate screening. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. All you have to do is make tracks to them at any of their branches dotted across the country. Here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronowabwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji Estates, there's Techiman Hanswa, and there's Siama and Zima. On what lines can you reach them if you prefer to call, which I should suggest you do? The numbers are 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And just to kickstart the conversation, well, welcome aboard, Mr. Kwashi. And how is South Africa?
Very well. As usual, I always say that they are trying their best, much better than we are doing here. COVID hit all of us, especially them. It hit them so hard. But the government is doing what it has to do. It's not easy anywhere, but they are doing better than we are.
They are doing better than we are.
Yes.
Since you're, how long ago were you in South Africa?
I think I've been here for 2 weeks now. So 2 weeks back I was in.
So 2 weeks back you were in South Africa. Yeah. We know they have their own political crisis on their hands.
Yeah.
You know, the transition from apartheid rule to the ANC, Nelson Mandela, all the way now to Cyril Ramaphosa. And there have been different dynamics about the failure of the ANC and how it's creating inroads for other parties. Yes. There's Malema, Julius Malema, and what he's been doing. Power outages and all of that. Some people would say, looking at some of these problems they're facing, including xenophobic tendencies that they've exhibited over the last few years. Do you still rate them above? What are you basing this on? Just the economy?
No, not only the economy. Like you said, for about 2-3 years now, the xenophobic attacks have not happened. I believe that it's because of the call by the EFF that is led by Julius Malema. They have said that we should be one as Africans, not to divide ourselves. So I think that has helped. The economy, load shedding, like you said, is a very big problem there. But gradually, they are getting out of it. And I think that in no time, things will be well with them.
Anyway, let's come back to Ghana. Let's come home and get into our own affairs. We're about to get into our own local affairs. The Daily Graphic, Daily Guide, the Custodian newspapers. Those are the papers I'm going to be looking at. Which ones are you looking at?
I have the Finder and then the Ghanaian Publisher.
All right. So let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Government increases cocoa prices back up from 800 Ghana cedis to 1,308 Ghana cedis a ton, now going for 20,943 Ghana cedis, up from 12,800 Ghana cedis. That's an increment of about 63.5%. So the details. The government has increased the price at which it buys a bag of cocoa from 800 Ghana cedis per 64 kilogram bag to 1,308 Ghana cedis. Now, the 63.5% increment also translates to 20,943 Ghana cedis per ton of raw cocoa beans, up from 12,800 Ghana cedis per ton. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who announced the new price at the Durbar of Chiefs and Cocoa Farmers at Tepa in the Ashanti region at the weekend, said the new price, quote, is the highest to be paid to cocoa farmers across West Africa in over 50 years. But we're going to be getting into the details of that later on the show because there has been some contestation from some bodies, including the farmers themselves, about the veracity of this fact. But it also remains that it is quite an increment. It is important. Of course, some people have made mention of inflation, for example. So if you factor in inflation, what does this really mean? But for you, what do you make of this story? It's a big positive, isn't it?
Very positive. We have always said and maintained that our farmers need to be taken care of and very good at that. So from an increase of 12,800 to 20,943, It's a big leap. That is almost about 63.5% increase.
It actually is 63.5%.
63.5. So I think we should pat the government in the back. But again, like you said, we should look at the figures very well. Inflation coming in, other factors as well. Farmers have complained over time, over the years. And I hope that this should be a time that our farmers will not be taken for granted, a time that I believe that whatever the government has initiated, it's able to sustain it. When our farmers are happy, the country grows because they do whatever they have to do to ensure that our export of cocoa goes very high. And I hear it's the highest in the West African sub-region. So we'll pat the government in the back and say that these are things that we have to continue to do to help the Ghanaian economy grow.
And even making mention of that, I mean, we all salute government for this initiative. Definitely a positive.
Yeah.
You cannot overlook the fact that farmers are part of our agricultural backbone. And so if this is happening, it's a very positive step.
Yeah.
But there are also other dynamics to do with it. The smuggling, for example. And the claim is that it's usually not the farmers themselves, it's the middlemen, those who are not even part of
the process, yes.
Who end up smuggling the commodity. Even as we do this, how do we stem the tide, do you think?
I think we need to tighten those loose ends and ensure that, like you said, the farmers are producing, and government should be able to come up with a facility that helps them market their product, and let's see how best we can do away with the middlemen, so that whatever we do would be towards the economic freedom of farmers, and also to help grow our economy as a country. I believe that this is one of the most foreign exchange that we get as a country from cocoa as well. And if we are able to plug these loopholes, I'm sure that we'll make the maximum benefits out of it for the growth of our economy.
Even as we talk about these matters, sometimes when it comes to the mainstays that we are known for as a country, it breaks my heart, because then you contemplate, why is Belgium, Brussels, the chocolate capital of the world? Why not Ghana or the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, so to speak? Why is it that the Netherlands exports the most, if I'm not mistaken, cocoa powder? Do you get it? So there are still many avenues where we can do better when it comes to the entire value chain of the cocoa cash crop. But let's look at other stories. Ghana pumps JSE first oil will boost revenue and the economy. For me, I've sort of given up on oil revenue doing much for our country on the back of what I've seen since 2010 till now, NDC, NPP, and especially now with all the assets we have when it comes to black gold. I'm talking of oil and the economic situation we find ourselves in. I don't know. But then there's also, I'll just lump a few stories together and then you can react. So the oil story is one. In fact, let me go to it on page 16. And President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has turned on the valve at the offshore Jubilee field to signify the production of additional oil from a new well, the Jubilee Southeast project. But like I said, how many haven't we seen in this country? What have been the results? And what have we done with the oil money? What can we say that, Ghana, for this is your oil money and this is what we've achieved on the back of that? Scarce. Very little to show. That's why I'm not so enthusiastic about this. Because in other jurisdictions, you go to Norway and they have a fund that has been there since the 90s, just salting away money, oil revenue for future generations. Here, we're even indebted when it comes to, our economy. Then there's Explosion rocks Shama, another matter we're getting into this morning on the show. So 4 dead, 5 dead as confirmed now, and managing director, others missing. So an explosion at the SDA Atsum quarry mine, formerly Ominai Quarry in the Shama district in the western region, has killed, according to the story, 4 persons and left many injured. Many night workers, believed to be Chinese and Ghanaians, were burnt beyond recognition, while others, including the managing director of the company, are still missing. Now, those who survived were rushed to the various hospitals in the district and secondly a fuel station, and the only health post in the area were not spared, as the blast caused extensive damage to countless structures and compromised the structural integrity of many buildings. Very sad situation there. We'll be heading to the western region today to get the scoop on that. But I'll just say this, Ben. I'm hoping that the director and the others that we cannot find, I am hoping they've not absconded. Because sometimes you have issues like this crop up and then leadership,
it's nowhere
that is one of the worst things you can do as a leader.
Yeah,
and if that's what they've done, I feel some action should be taken. But your reaction to this explosion and then more oil for Ghana, but will it lead to a better life for Ghanaians?
Let me start on the issue of the oil and say that I share in your frustration, like you say, and I believe that most Ghanaians also share in that frustration, because over the years we have seen the mismanagement of our economy, and you ask yourself that what has happened to the oil revenues that we generate. But I think we should not always just push it over and say that we are tired. I think we should continue to remind government that these resources that we have are for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. These resources are supposed to be there for generations yet unborn. So if there's a government that is reckless, we've seen the NPP administration being so reckless. They have had most revenues from this oil revenues over the years than any other government, especially the NDC during the time of which oil was discovered in this country. But one thing that we should know is that we can't continue on this trajectory. It's one that is so demeaning on our person as a country. Government should realize that whatever we are making revenue from this oil production should be geared towards the development of the country. We should stop this thing of mismanaging the economy and expect Ghanaians to clap for us when such discoveries are made. In other jurisdictions, when such discoveries are made, people become very happy. But unfortunately, in our side of the world, and especially in Ghana, we are not happy with it because of the mismanagement by the Nana Addo Bawumia administration. On the issue of the explosion, I think before then, let me extend my condolences to the families of the bereaved ones that we've had. We had 5 so far. On my way here, I heard that it is likely that the owner was also part of the explosion that happened. They said he was there, so they can't find him as well. So I don't think that he has absconded, if that the story we are hearing is true.
No, well, the talk was about the director and some others. And I'm saying that if there were others there and whatever happened, or they were not even in the vicinity, and because they've heard what has happened, they've absconded, that would be if that is the case.
No, but and then the minister is saying that it looks like they were not properly registered. So these are some of the things.
There are lots of issues in there.
Yes, these are some of the things that I ask myself, where did we go wrong? As the institutions are not working, they are there. And I'm sure that this should be a wake-up call. People must be held responsible. People that were supposed to do their work and have not done it. I think sometimes we need to crack the whip and ensure that...
Not sometimes, all the time.
All the
because look at the explosions we used to see some years back. I remember I was around the University of Ghana campus. I was actually on campus, I think around Pentagon, when that one, the atomic one, happened. And it was crazy. All the way, you could feel, feel what had happened. Buildings shook and all of that. So, I don't know. And then we had the recent one that we saw. The name just skips me, where there was that other explosion.
In the Western
region. Mining one.
The mining one, yes.
I don't know why it escapes me. I'll try to get it. Apiate.
Yes.
So we've had a series of these, and each time you have people losing their lives, people getting injured. Look at Apiate. The whole community was razed to the ground.
And we spoke about it for a month, a week, some weeks, and then it's gone. And this has also happened. I think that sometimes we should, like you said, always we need to ensure that the laws are respected. And I believe that if we are able to do this, some lives like this that are lost, unfortunately, we would be able to save them.
Back page of the Daily Graphic. I'll not get into the stories. I'll just give you the headlines. Catholic University partner presents 60 beds to 5 health facilities. And a story by my friend Della Russell Oklu. We call her class prefect. Motorway Tunnel Highway Authorities start stolen bolts replacement. And that's interesting. So to prevent the Accra motorway from collapsing, following the theft of about 1,400 of the 2,000 bolts holding the bridge to the motorway concrete. Out of the 2,000, 1,400 have been stolen. Ghana and Kasa. Anyway, let's check out the papers.
It's so funny. It's so funny because
and this thing, if it collapses, it will kill
people,
ordinary people. But the question is, how is it even possible to expose it like that so that people are stealing up to the point where 1,400
out of 2,000 something?
That's about three-fourths.
Three-fourths of it is gone. So who didn't do their work well? Anyway, I have the Ghanaian publisher here. It says, the first one says, on the front page, Winneba set for ECOWAS Parliament, Afenyo Marking. The story is on page 3. It also speaks about farmers rejoice over historic cocoa price. And then
on the farmers bit, I saw someone send a message saying, Bernard Bleu says, the farmers are not happy with the price. They're asking for 3,000 Ghana cedis. Well, a case of Oliver Twist, but in this instance, we must commend government. They've done something good. I mean, if you were receiving 800 and something, and now you're receiving 1,308, I'm not saying it's the optimal. I'm not saying it's the best possible scenario, but half a loaf is better than nothing at all.
But again, like you said,
saying they want 3,000.
If you delve into it properly, we would get to hear from the farmers, and they might also give us some indications that will show that the 3,000 they are demanding might be right anyway.
It's realistic.
Remember that we say we don't have money as a country, so we'll give them some and then we'll keep some. So Winneba set for ECOWAS Parliament. It says that the Member of Parliament for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo Marking, who serves as leader of government's delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament, says Winneba is ready to host the extraordinary meeting of ECOWAS Parliament. I think this is a plus for us as a country and a plus for Winneba. It's to showcase our country's democratic credentials, and I think that such events and such opportunities, we need to continue to use it to market our country and let others see how we are doing well when it comes to our democracy. The Finder newspaper. Customs investigates 2 shipping lines, agent for suspected falsified trade documents. And the story is on page 4, and it says the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority is investigating 2 shipping companies and agents who connived to falsify information on trade documents to pay lesser duties and taxes to the government. I think we have known this for quite some time now. I remember when His Excellency President John Evans Atta Mills of blessed memory stormed a customs yard in Tema and said that, look, he had come because he realized that most of the frauds that were happening at the port, and you and I know, we've heard the story several times.
Right. So
people go ahead, do things that the government is not able to get what it's supposed to get from this ports authority. I think that it's a story that we need to look at, and it's an issue that as a country we continue to speak about it and ensure. I believe that when we are able to move from the paper system and get things all in the technological way, things will get better. I think these are okay, so it says NADMO alerts of torrential rains in the northern region in September. It's happened again. Every year we keep on saying this.
So we're heading into the second
one
belt of the rainy season, which is shorter, but much more devastating.
Yes.
It comes with heavier rain. And if what we saw in the first one is anything to go by, then we really we must really brace ourselves for what is to come.
And I think over the years we should have come up with practical solutions to help our brothers and sisters in the north. I think that these are things that we need to look into so that we can help our people, especially those in the and remember, most of them are farmers, and they are the ones that keep us going. They are the ones that give the middle bed food and all of that. So it's something that we all need to look at as a nation.
Let's get into some other stories. So you're done with the 2 story papers, right?
Yeah.
All right. So in the next few minutes, we'll be wrapping up for sports to come in. Daily Guide, farmers jubilate over 1,308 Ghana CD cocoa price. Abu Zain receives double doctorate awards. Explosion kills 4 in Shamar district. Akufo-Addo opens ECOWAS Parliament. But the story I'm going to be focusing on with you, I'll give Mahama a showdown. Bawumia says so. In fact, this is something that on Joy News, on Facebook, we've actually put it up there. I'm going to pick up some responses that I've seen there. But what do you make of that? First, it was Kennedy Japong, whom we heard saying he would give President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia a showdown. Yeah. Now, the Vice President says he's going to give Mahama a showdown, seemingly saying, you know what, everyone knows I'm going to be the candidate for the MPP, though we've not gone to that contest yet. And when it gets there, people don't want to see me there because they know I'm the one who will give the NDC and Mahama a showdown.
I think it's time we all call out the vice president and let him know that Ghanaians are now wide awake. Ghanaians are now discerning. Look, I watched that video several times, and you see those days when the vice president makes such comments, people laugh and people, make mockery of others. But did you see the demeanor of the people that were sitting there when he passed that comment? I think he made a joke and he just laughed about it himself. People were not so enthused about it. What is a showdown? If the vice president knows what a showdown is, he should get to work and fix the economy. He should get to work and answer the 170 questions he gave the late Pakwesi Amita, our former vice president. The vice president is a monumental failure. Do we need any more school of thought to tell us this? Ghanaians have realized, what haven't he said? What haven't the vice president said in opposition? You see, the vice president came up with textbook theories as to how to solve economic situations. When reality set in and he got to the Jubilee House, he has become a monumental failure. Now he doesn't hold lectures. He doesn't talk about the economy. Governance is a very serious business. And I think that as a people, we should take
technology and innovation, digitization and digitalization are also crucial parts of the economy.
Very crucial parts. But how has it been implemented? He always talks about it. You see, one thing about this administration is that I think we've given them too much leeway for them to take us for granted. Look at the problem on the Tema motorway when I was just driving down. There is a minister for roads and highways. We went on that road and said that Ghanaians don't understand. If you don't understand what construction of roads is about, shut up. The minister said this to us as a people. Today, what is the mess? Aren't people dying on that road? I think Bawumia's behavior needs to be put in check now. Everybody will have to call him out and tell him that he should stop the theatrics. He should just get to work and get things solved for us as a country.
All right. Let's get ready to wrap up. So just on Facebook, the responses that some of you have been sharing as we posted this. So Yakubu says he should rather show down the economy. What a solid team. Then there's this one, Abrewa Bubwa, she says, that's the fact. If he goes, he will give the NDC a showdown. Ebenezer says that's the gospel truth. Dr. Bawumia always gives the NDC nightmares. This one, Yakubu says, if the elections are free and fair, that can never happen, that he will give the NDC a showdown. Then Samuel Danso says, you think we're fools, right? Addressing what the vice president has said, and in your dreams, that's what he says. David Tete says, keep dreaming. If you have something better to offer Ghana, we would have seen it by now. Then there's Joseph Ohene Day, who has the vice president as his display picture. And he says, I perfectly agree, and I feel he's going to give them a showdown. Let's just look at a few more. So quite a number of you have been reacting. This one says, 100% showdown. Bawumia remains the Ghanaian favorite. And then Kwame Yabo also says, in fact, DMB will beat Mahama hands down. So it's a mixed bag of comments here. There are those who are obviously in favor of that, and others who are saying there's no way, if elections are free and fair, this can happen. Anyway.
The showdown should be against the economy. The showdown should be him doing things that he promised Ghanaians that he was going to get done, that he has not gotten done. And I think that, like the comments have indicated, Ghanaians are not happy. I don't see President Mahama losing an election against Bawumia. It will never happen. President Mahama is the people's choice. President Mahama is a tried.
How can you be so sure? Politics is politics.
No.
Did you suspect that Alan Trebating would perform the way he did in the Super Delegates Conference, and that he would out of? I mean, he has said that he felt the process was compromised and all of that. There was intimidation. For him to step aside, did you see that coming?
No, I didn't see that coming, but it is a tradition with the MPP not to give the aspirant fair playing grounds. And as principled as Alan Tremantin was, he resigned based on the principles. If you say that those were allegations, they were not mere allegations. The pictures are there for us all to see. And it is not only...
The NPP has a tail of the tape, the constitution.
Yeah.
There are things that you're supposed to do. They went by the book. They did everything. If you talk of things that were done behind the scenes, whether people were compromised, that's a different thing. But in terms of the elections, apart from 3 areas where there were major issues, the rest of them,
that's the
process.
That's their party's constitution. You remember Boachi Ejaku has indicated that they were supposed to go and vote for the 4th and 5th position. The party took a decision. Was that what is in their constitution? No. They deviated. They said they were making things easier for everybody.
But of course, always with processes, you can decide among candidates what the way forward is. But time will tell how time will tell. The Custodian newspaper says, Coca gave me a run for my money. That's according to Wuntumi. Will not let you down. YEA beneficiaries assure government. NDC misled public on 2020 polls. Professor Kwesa White tasks leaders to admit their failures. And of course, there's Winneba host ECOWAS Parliament. Right before we go, though, so we've looked at the cocoa situation, the IGP, and everything, the leaked tape. And now Tuesday we hear he's going to be before the parliamentary committee. What do you make of that? Right before we go,
I think the sitting is so clear, and for me, I'm disappointed in some of the comments that have been made by COP. That what's his name? COP is it Mensah?
Alex Mensah.
Alex Mensah. I think some of the comments are just not something that you'd expect.
But does it not paint the reality of what is
so that is
in the Ghana Police Service?
That is pure bitterness. That is somebody that is bitter. When he speaks, you don't see somebody that is speaking about reforms of anything that can happen in the police service. He's just a bitter soul. And if we have such people as police officers, I think as a country we need to be very careful. And I believe that the committee that has been instituted by Parliament, the hearings are in public. We are all listening to them. We are watching them. And I'm sure that the Ghanaian people will make a firm determination after the hearings are done. The IGP, I'm told, will be there, and we'll listen to a side of the story. But whatever it is, COP Mensah has not shown leadership, and I think that is a worrying thing for our country and for our institutions, especially to do with the police service that we have always believed that should be there for the people. You don't politicize an institution like the police service, but if that is what is happening as a people, we should be very worried about it.
Some interesting comments coming in. Some of you are using terms, but you say it's high time, Dr. Baumia, you used a different name for him there, stopped his comic relief and bowed his head in shame for the mess under his watch. You're talking of the economy. And Andy Brown says, why is Mahama your benchmark? So if you say Mahama is competent, he has sadly become your benchmark, then have you already failed? Okay, that's another message to the vice president. And there was a message. Don says, Ben, stop celebrating mediocrity. This government is chopping more than the farmers. You can make different strands of argument, but the point simply is, what if they had also not increased it? That is also an option. So at least if they've done something, you pat them on the back. But like I rightly said, it's not where it could be. Any final words as we go?
Ben, I think I'll just take a minute.
Just briefly, 20 seconds. We have to go.
20 seconds about the limited registration by the Electoral Commission. I am here to just reiterate what our leader, President Mahama, has said, that we should stop all other activities and ensure that we all go and register if we've not registered yet. But again, I want the EC to use the benchmark that they used when they set any elections that they are holding. If there is an injunction, they respect the injunction. There's an injunction towards the process, and I'm watching to see what they are going to do if they have different sets of rules for every other institution. Thank you.
Benjamin Kofi Kwashi is Chair, Council of Elders, NDC South Africa. He joined us for a conversation, the news review this morning. Happy birthday to you, Princess Umul Hatia. You are 45 today, and 45 looks so beautiful on you. Happy birthday, and God richly bless you. So I'm told we could have a few more minutes just to conclude the conversation properly. Apart from what we've seen with the IGP and the Shama incident and everything else that is happening on the political terrain, I'll just briefly go back to inter-party politics, NDC, NPP. We've noticed that, usually around this time, tensions start to simmer. The vigilante bit In fact, the special paper I presented recently has to do with that, vigilantism in Ghana. From where you sit, is this still a problem that we have? Is it something that has folded up on the back of the Vigilante and Related Offences Act? Or is it something that we should keep our eye on heading into election 2024?
I think after the passage of the act, all the political parties are part to ensuring that we don't let vigilantism take over what our security services are supposed to do.
What is the reality on the ground?
I think that the parties, because of late, we've not heard of any such incidences like we used to hear before. It might not have been completely stopped, but I believe that once the Act has indicated the processes that needs to be established, and I think that it brings in the issue about what COP Mensa has been saying at the commission. You want to believe that an institution like the police service is a human institution, and these things are supposed to happen. But you see, the way with which we have now come to know what actually is happening there, it's threatening to us as a people. And I think that if we don't stop this and we say NDC, MPP, this is what they do always, at the end of the day, we are not helping build such institutions. And these things will come back to bite us as a people. We need to be very careful about it. And this is one of the things that would help stop the parties from coming up with vigilantes, because at the end of the day, every party would believe in the police service and say, we believe that they will be professionals because they are trained to help and be there for everybody. If we are...
Now we hear some people saying, you know, this IGP on the back of the by-election, you know, in Asin North, we don't want this person because he may not play to our end. That's basically what COP Alex Mensah was saying. And he even says that, look, let's not pretend we are not partisan in the police service. We are. There's NDC, there's MPP, but then that creates, that sows the seed of chaos, likely chaos.
I don't see COP Mensah as a police officer. He's a politician.
But he admitted that he was a politician. And he even says, you remember, there have been some people too who left the police service, and within weeks they were contesting.
They left
for another party.
They left.
No, but the point he makes is that you have to have been a card-bearing member for some years before you can contest.
Absolutely.
At that level.
But at the point that they were police officers, what were the comments that they were passing? Did they pass comments as COP Mensah has been passing lately? It's neither here or there. Whatever it is, I think he should put down the uniform, go to the commission in his party-cladded dresses, because we know him to be a politician, not a police officer.
Okay, and that will be the final bit. Thank you, Ben, for joining the conversation. This segment, as always, brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Here's where you can locate us. Here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Boy here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswell and Siaman Zima. Our call lines 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review, but just the start of sports. Up next, do stay.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Over the weekend, the Ghana Football Association organized its maiden Ghana Football Association Awards, the end of season ceremony, which is meant to award outstanding footballers in the just ended football season. Media Mess Vincent Asinga was voted player of the season. Dreams FC's head coach, Abdul Karim Zito, was also handed the FA Cup Coach of the Year. Whilst Augustine Odote of Midiama SC was also voted coach of the season. Now we go for some of the excerpts of what transpired during the awards ceremony
GFA Awards, a bready kind cry. Almost in terms when I watch every year, UPSC, auditorium ho, and a penny for Sinkunya, Ghana football season, Quarry 2022-2023, no, and Memoan and Maya Mopomo Modreno, Yapoma Basu, no be Pimua, Nanyagro, Black Stars players, Omo.
We'll bring you that in our subsequent bulletins. But now let's hear from GFA President Kate Okreku. He has charged the Black Stars to right the wrongs of the last AFCON competition after the senior national team secured qualification to a third consecutive AFCON tournament following a comeback win against Central African Republic.
On behalf of the Football Association, I want to thank each one of you. From the head coach, the entire technical team, the captain, and the rest of the playing body. I thank you. We have made it. It's a big plus for us. This is not the first time we've made it to the AFCON, but we needed to get Ghana there, and we are in. I go. Some few months ago, we were at the AFCON. It didn't work. And we said to ourselves, we would want another opportunity to make it work. You have made that opportunity come to us. So we have an opportunity to go to the AFCON to make it work. Let's keep that in mind. We want to go to the AFCON and make it work. Today, let's enjoy it because we've made it. Beyond today, let's start to think and look about or at the bigger picture. Okay? Thank you very much, Andre, Jordan, the entire team. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now let's talk some Paris Olympic qualifiers, and Ghana's Seth Jima, affectionately called Freezer McBones. He came up against Seydou Konate of Senegal in the ongoing Paris Olympic qualifiers in Dakar. He lost the fight, and he says that he didn't go into the ring to lose, but there's a huge difference between amateur boxing and that of the professional fights.
Everything that is too thin involved is either win or lose, you know. And I don't think anyone will go in the ring and feel like I'm going to lose this fight. I've been prepared for this fight. I've been in camp in London. I've been in camp in Accra, training with the Black Bomber squad, and we are all looking forward for this show. The game, the results I wanted, I couldn't get it. So, yeah, but it was a good, fight. But I didn't get time to watch all over the fight, but I watched some piece of it, you know, and I think for what I have seen, I think I could win the fight. You know, I could win the fight because obviously pro boxer to amateur boxing is so many different. All right, in amateur boxing, it's more quick, more fast on your toes, on your feet. You know, they want to see more punches and that. And I think if you look the way I was boxing, I took back of the of fundamental of boxing. I was being on my toes. I was being on my moving my head straight up. You know what I'm saying? I was doing all of that, but I gave him a standing count, 8 standing count for the first round. You know, and they took a point of me. The reason being is that I just keep looking down. But like I said, it's a boxing. It's too thin involved, either win or lose. And we're still learning, and we're still doing our best for the next fight.
Freezer McBones speaking after losing against Seydou Konate. Now, let's talk the Paris Africa Paralympic Games happening in Ghana, and Ghana's Black Challenge defeated Morocco 2-1 to win the maiden edition of the Africa Para Games football competition, which was staged at the Macdan Park. My colleague Elon Benai, the Fiamakwa, was there and comes through with this report.
The Black Challenge entered the final seeking revenge over the Moroccans, having lost 2-1 to the North Africans at the group stage. The Moroccans started the game much stronger as they posed more threat in attack to Team Ghana, forcing goalkeeper Razak Seydou into making saves. They eventually broke the deadlock in the 38th minute through a beautiful curler into the top left corner after a mistake by midfielder Alote, who gave the ball away cheaply in midfield. The Black Challenge started the second half much better as they kept on mounting pressure on the Morocco defense. After a series of pressure, the football gods finally smiled on the Ghanaian side in the dying numbers of the game as Hamza Mohamed finished off a beautiful team move to bring Team Ghana back on level terms. As the place erupted with the crowd singing and cheering them on, Team Ghana took advantage of the momentum and took the lead. Captain Richard Atta scored a beautiful worked free kick to complete and give the Black Challenge a 2-1 lead in extra time to win the trophy for the team. Richard Atta and coach Stephen Richard Obeng both spoke to Joy Sports.
The land belongs to us. We have to defend it. We've defended it. We've made our families proud. We've made Ghanaians proud. We will forever be proud of this achievement. And Ghana will forever remember us. Because this is what we aim to do. And we've really done it in a marvelous way. So I had wanted to present a trophy to our president, Nana Akufo-Addo. So by hook or crook, the trophy must remain. So when the ball came, I remembered that promise that I made to myself that no, we have to meet Akufo-Addo and present the cup to him. So this should be the win. It came and I did the dealing.
The first time ever in Africa Para Games, and Ghana, we are hosting and we are winning. We came to your office and I told you you're going to make it. And by the special grace of God and hard work, here we are, going to lift the maiden trophy of the first African Para Games right here in Accra Magdan Park. It's super excitement for the team and the whole of Ghana. It's not a revenge. Vengeance is of the Lord. So we gave everything to Lord, we did our part, and we came back stronger than before when we played them in the group stage. What next is the African game, which is coming on next year, April. That's a big target, you know. You can see the teams which came. It wasn't an easy team, and in the AFCON, it's not going to be easy. So we are going to prepare fully. That is why we need the league in Ghana to kickstart soon, so we can have the players we want to represent Ghana.
Welcome back on the AM show, and after sports we get into the big stories, and we're starting off by talking about the producer price of cocoa. Now, we heard over the weekend how Mr. President, or His Excellency the President, spoke about that increment, 63.5%. He touted about 70%. But that increment from around 800 Ghana cedis per 64 kilogram bag to over 1,308 Ghana cedis. What do these dynamics mean for cocoa farmers? Is this going to help stem the tide of cocoa farmers selling their farms to galamseyers or smuggling the product? Because a few of them are mired in that as well, though we know it is usually the middlemen. Well, joining us for that conversation, and maybe just to make the point, does this suffice? This morning, early on, when we're talking about this, I had someone send a message and say for them, the farmers, they would have wanted about 3,000 Ghana cedis. So what is the reality, and where do we go from here? Joining the conversation, we have Fifi Boafo here as a Public Affairs Director at CocoaBot. He joins us. We also have Dr. Theo Champong, a political risk analyst, and we'll also hear from Obuadie Boateng Bonsu. He is farmer General. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. So, Dr. Theo Champong, it's good to have you. Do we have Fifi Boafo on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Great. Good to hear from you. I want to start with you. In terms of this latest increment, there has been a lot of hue and cry complaints from the farming community. And as I mentioned today, some people sent in reactions, farmers saying, look, they could have done much better. But some would also say half a loaf is better than nothing. From where you sit, what does this mean, this 63.5% increment?
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I have also had the experience.
Mr. Boafo, my sincere apologies. If you could just speak up a bit for me, I'd be grateful.
All right, is it better?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. So I have had a first-hand information of the reaction of farmers to this announcement. I was in Japan when the president announced the new business price. And it was a spontaneous reaction from the farmers, who immediately, when the president announced the price, just started dancing, screaming, showing all sort of excitement, reaction. They actually stopped the president's presentation for close to 10 minutes, just showing their excitement to the new price. So, for me, I believe that the reaction shown by the farmers, and I've heard farmers beyond what I saw in Tepa, who are so grateful and appreciative of the new price that has been put. On top of that, prior to the announcement of this new cocoa price, we had a statement from the civil society platform on cocoa who had a certain expectation. The expectation they had, based on all factors taken into consideration, and the price that was announced last Saturday, there's no much difference. It seems to all stemming from the same book. On top of that, those who have raised issues or expressed the concern that, well, probably the price would have been way higher, the basis of that argument, I think that's a bit problematic, to put it bluntly. They say that, oh, well, the world market price of cocoa today is 3,200, some say 3,600. And they actually make reference to the fact that it's a spot price. Benjamin, with your indulgence, I would like to explain this. When we say spot price, basically it refers to the fact that today cocoa has cocoa. You go to the market, a trader decides to bid for the product. Immediately you sign a contract, you are required to export the cocoa bean. What we do here in Ghana is not to do spot largely. It's only when we have been able to certify our contract, that is when we do the spot sale. Because of the syndication process, from 1992 up to date, we do forward sales. And we actually started selling October last year. We sold up to date. And the new price we are seeing on the market started after April. So this significant increase cannot be the basis to say that because on a day the price is X, so we use X as a basis of determining the producer price. It is also important to say that you will not be able to sell 800,000 metric tons of cocoa in a day. You can obviously do that over a longer period of time. So what we use is the average. In determining the average, it is also important to make the point that in Ghana, it doesn't matter whether it's the light crop beans or the mid crop beans, is it the type C or the ability level, the price of cocoa when determined at the beginning of the season is used for the purchase of cocoa throughout the year. So the 1,308 Ghana cedis will be the price we use to buy cocoa for both the main crop and the light crop. The light crop beans is discounted by 20%. The figure people quote, or the figure people see on the internet and use as a basis, is for main crop beans. So for the light crop beans, you don't get the same amount of money. That is also the So when cocoa is determining, or when the producer price is taken, is determining producer price, the average they take into consideration the discount that is also applied on the light coffee. And I believe that all said and done, the reaction we have seen from the farmers is a good one. The good side of it is also the fact that now we also see the price increasing beyond what we have even used as a basis of determining the price this time around. Sales for 2024-2025 has begun, and the price we see today will form the basis of determining the next year's producer price. So obviously, going forward, the future looks brighter for us as a producing country. So we believe that this is a good price, the reaction shows, and we believe that it insulates the farmers from the possibility of giving out their farms or other land uses as is experienced in our country for some time.
Right. Just a quick point before I move on to my other guests for their preliminary comments. We heard Mr. President talk about the fact that, in fact, you're talking about prices ranging between, correct me if I'm wrong, $2,400 to $2,600 or $2,200 to $2,400?
Well, the new price or the average that was used was $2,600.
2,600. Because I have here the Daily Graphic, which quotes Mr. President saying that, in fact, there's a low international price now. I do not know whether you will corroborate that. He added that the increment was also equivalent to $1,821 or 70.5% of gross free on board price per ton of cocoa beans. And he suggests that until recently, the price of the commodity on the international market had remained relatively low and made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. But now it's picked up, right?
Precisely so.
Okay. I'll come back to...
I asked the president, and what the president said was in reference to what the price has been since 2017, and the fact that now we've seen the price increasing. And he made a point that the $1,821 paid the farmer this time now, in terms of dollar value, is the highest we have seen. That's the point the president was making, that the $1,821 is the highest we've seen. Of course, cocoa prices have gone beyond 2,600 average. But in terms how much is paid to the cocoa farmer, it has never happened in the history of our country that a dollar equivalent of 1,821 has been paid to a farmer.
Thanks for that clarity. When the president also says that it's the highest to be paid to cocoa farmers across West Africa in over 50 years, can you corroborate that? Because there are those who have suggested that that is not the case. Can you corroborate that?
Well, average prices over the West African average, 1,821 at the time of determining the price is the highest we have seen in 50 years.
Quote, Mr. President says, it is the highest to be paid to cocoa farmers across West Africa, not Ghana, West Africa, in over 50 years. That's what I want clarity on.
Yes, in terms of price at the time of determining it, it's the highest we have seen in West African average.
All right. Please hold for me, Mr. Boafo. Just hold for me. Let me bring in Dr. Theo Champong. Doc, what do you make of this latest increment? It's a shot in the arm for cocoa farmers, right? Hello, Dr. Theo Champong.
Yes, good morning. I hope you can hear me. I was just checking my sound and I wasn't too sure. Hopefully you can hear me now.
I can. Go ahead.
No, I think it's a positive development because, again, I mean, let's look at the context and the backdrop that the production has been slowing down, and even some of the reports that we had read indicated, so from like a couple of the portals, Bloomberg and others, that Ghana may not be able to meet the cocoa purchases for this season. Fifi talks about the issues of smuggling and galamsey and the like, and the fact that the farmers generally, before this price increment, wanted a little bit more to reflect the cost of living and other challenges that they were facing. So the proposal to increase the price, in my view, is welcome and it's a good thing. The thing though then becomes a question of how much could the government have, gone up by. So again, let's just do some numbers here. If we assume that the price as Cocoa Board had first sold its cocoa on the market was even $2,600, $2,700 per ton, and you're paying farmers now, I believe, 1,280 cedis. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. In terms of the value add, it's just around 40% or so of the price that is being passed on to farmers. Now, when you juxtapose that against the inflationary environment and the cost of living and the rise in input prices and all of that, then you can begin to see why the argument for maybe pushing for 2,000 or so Ghana cedis per ton could have been sustained. But of course,
I've heard some push for 3,000 Ghana cedis per ton.
I think 3,000 would have been difficult, but certainly right. I think around the 20,000 Ghana cedi mark would have been a much more fairer reflection of the price being passed on to the farmers. But we need to now also consider the financial state of the country, including even at Cocoa Board itself. They just recently restructured a couple of their bonds and the debt and all of that. So it's a bit of a trade-off that the government had to make. But the point really is that when you work that cost pass through to the farmer, in relative terms, they are still worse off than they were even a couple of years ago when you account for inflation and you account for cost of living.
Interesting thoughts that you've shared. You feel that if you look at the dynamics, looking at inflation and other matters, then it means they're actually worse off now, even with this increment, than they were just a few years ago comparatively. Let's bring in it's good to hear from those who are in the thick of things. Farmer General Obuadie Nana Boateng Bonsu. He is president, Concerned Farmers Association. Nana, a very good morning to you, sir. Obuadie Nana Boateng Bonsu. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Nana, for joining the conversation. I'm sure you've listened to everything that has happened. Fifi Boafo on the end of Cocoa Board and Dr. Theo Echampong saying that actually, from where he sits, if you look at the dynamics of inflation and other factors, it means even with this increment, you are worse off than years back. From where you sit, how did you greet this announcement? What does it mean to you?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And then good morning to your viewers and then all the cocoa farmers across the country for working very hard to sustain this country from falling. There was something that I want to ask Cocoa Board, whether we have cocoa farmers in this country and whether we have NGOs which represent cocoa farmers in this country. This question goes to my good brother, Honorable Kofi, whether we have that. Because during the new price that they went and launched it or so, none of the, if I say none, because I know the majority of the NGOs were not invited to the program. I think it is disrespectful on the side of Cocoa Board to do that. Because at the end of the day, it is not the Cocoa Board that they are doing the work. It is we, the farmers, that we are doing the work. So if there was anything concerning cocoa, and that is we working hard for it, and you been representing us, at least you need to give us that kind of respect for respect and invitation for we to come to grace your occasion. You can't mobilize or call on national just to sit around and then do this announcement for them that it's come out with a new price of cocoa. So that is all. I think what Cocoa Board did, we the farmers need an apology for that. And next time they don't have to do that because they don't own any farm. It is we that own the farm. All the stress and other things that we are going through, it is we.
So quickly on that point. So you're saying that you were left out of the equation in deciding on this latest sum. It was done on your blind side, and moving forward, you want more collaboration, or Cocoa Board should involve you. That's what you're saying.
Exactly, because cocoa board, they are not doing any work. It is we that we are doing the work. We that we are on the ground. Now that they are destroying and cutting down the cocoa trees in this country, ask cocoa board, what was their intervention? All that he told us was, it is a land tenure system. It is we, the concerned farmers, that move around, mobilize the farmers across the country, telling them that, listen, cocoa is Ghana, and Ghana is cocoa, we need to protect it. Cocoa board did nothing about it. You see, so it is very sad that we fighting for this thing, and at the end, who enjoys it? It is cocoa board that enjoys it. What do we have? We as a cocoa farmer, look at our road network. It is very bad. That is one. There's no good health care even within our villages. No good schools. And when you are sending your son to the farm, they said it's a child labor. But when a doctor is sending his son to the hospital, that one is not a child labor. So I think there's something that cocoa board needs to upgrade it, because now the way it is trending, the way things are going, Ghana has to lose its cocoa. I'm sorry to say that Ghana, we don't even have cocoa. It is only few cocoa trees that have been left. But the rest that they see that the test is there, all the cocoa trees have been sold. Very soon they will cut all down.
All right. You were about to make a second point. Just hold for me. Let me just bring in Fifi Boafo. He has a bit of an intervention, and then I'll come back to you, Nana, to proceed. Fifi Boafo, what's on your mind?
Yes, Doc made a statement, and I believe he asked for clarification before proceeding to make the statement. Maybe because of clarification did not come in, hence the conclusion Doc made. Because Doc talked about the fact that if you look at the price adjustment, that's about 40%, and then considering inflation, farmers are worse off. I wish to draw Doc's attention to the fact that the increment is about 6%, and inflation is obviously not up to that level. So it is not possible to conclude that the new price makes the farmer worse, because the increment within the 53% is way beyond the inflationary figure in our country.
But Mr. Boafo, are you considering the fact that it may be true that inflation, though for the last 3 months or so, it's been inching up. It's in the 40s. It hit the 50s some time back. And now we're looking at 63.5% of an increment. It's not just inflation. You're talking about the cost of these farmers. They use their farm equipment, diesel. Have you checked the prices of diesel? Have you checked the prices of agricultural inputs? So obviously, it wouldn't just be on inflation.
No, Benjamin, when you look, if you want us to go into the inflation basket, that's a different conversation altogether. We can do that. I'm just saying that January inflation is not up to 63%.
Right.
So if the farmer income has decreased by 63%,
right,
obviously it does not make the farmer worse off. Of course, I am not forcing Doc, because he actually asked that what are the figures, and he did not get it. And he said it was 1,200. Doc, actually 1,821. So it is not a 40%, but rather more.
Doc actually mentioned 1,800 plus. That's what he mentioned.
No, I heard 1,200. Sorry, but then I'm just making the point that the increase is over 63%, and inflation is not up to 63%. Of course, if you go into the basket, things like rent and stuff like
okay,
that.
Mr. Boafo, I think the point is made there. Because of time, I want us to be snip. So your point is made on that. It cannot be if inflation is 40-something% and this increment is 63.5%, then you cannot say that the farmers are worse off. Thanks for that intervention. Let me come back to Nana, and later, Doc, get ready, because when I come back to you, I would have you explain why you feel the farmers are worse off. But Nana, so you've spoken about a union, which you don't have. What then would be the plans moving forward in that regard? Or are you still going to just hope that Cocoa Board represents your interest properly? And then, to the main point of the increment, do you agree with Doc that you are actually worse off now on the back of inflation? Or does this really put you, the cocoa farmers, in a very good standing?
Thank you very much. It was a shock when I heard the price, because I was thinking that the price would even jump up to 2,500 or even 3,005. Because looking up to the international market, let us ask a cocoa board, how much is a port, the price of a port in the international market. A cocoa port costs $12.99. So if cocoa port costs $12.99, let us ask them, how many trees make a port? How many trees? We have almost 435 and 450 trees. That is an acre, right? And then a tree, you can get 50 up to 60, 70 pots on it. So just times that, and then see the kind of money that you will get as a cocoa farmer if you are supposed to sell your cocoa on your own. But now it is government, it's monopoly, it's government that have right to do all these things. And we've given that respect to that. But at the end of the day, the intervention, the welfare and other things that cocoa farmers are supposed to get, which is constitutional, the farmers are not getting it. We have a very bad road network. Aketi, just here, Aketi, a bridge that collapsed, ask Cocoa Board. How many years are they taking to construct that bridge? How many years are they taking to put up a very good school complex so that our children can get to a better place? Ask Cocoa Board, what are they doing to put up a better hospital within the cocoa catchment area so that at the end of the day, when our wives are in labor, they can get a better place? We have to send them to the big cities and other things, which transport is costing us. And you are talking about 1,300. I think it is peanuts. The 1,300 will not do anything. And the 1,300 will not prevent the smugglers from smuggling their cocoa.
Are you referencing the $1,821 that is, or you're referencing the 1,300 increment? That's what you're referencing.
What I'm saying is it's a peanut.
All right.
It's a peanut, yes, because the 1,300 will not do anything. The 1,300 will not do anything. Now things have increased. How much is how do you call it, a ball of even don't touch Lazuma Blue? Axe. And yeah. That's what we have been using. Axe.
Indulge me, Nana. Indulge me. You were getting 800 cedis per 64 kilogram bag of cocoa. Now you're getting 1,308. That is an increment of about some 200, in fact, 508 cedis. 508 cedis. Something is better than nothing, right?
Oh, this is not something that's better than nothing. This is not so. Look at it. Let us check those that they are representing us. Let us check their salary. Comparing. And the
are you talking of Cocoa Board?
Yes. You see, and the kind of intervention that we are supposed to get that we are not getting it. Farmers have been treated for so long. So if you are piling up all this money for so many years and then giving a lot of peanuts for them at this time, you've done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing. Because as I'm speaking to you, there is no cocoa in this country. Most of the cocoa, the majority has been destroyed. And now the farmers are even converting their cocoa farm to rubber plantations. Others are also doing guarantee, and they're making even more money than this 1,300 that you are talking of per bag. You see, the time that we were doing identification of community challenges, touring the length and breadth of this country, and getting the farmers to know their problems and their challenges, ask Cocoa Board. What were they telling us? Because my brother that even motivate us that, oh, things will be better, so we should hold on another thing. But you see, it is not enough. My brother, it is not enough. Things are getting worse off. As I'm talking to you, Nigeria, even leading. Nigeria is not taking Nigeria, who overtake even Ghana in terms of cocoa production, because we have nothing. What we have now has been destroyed. And Cocoa Board don't have any power to control the cocoa tree that is being destroyed. It's not about the price. They are destroying the trees. Now we don't even have the cocoa. Where is the cocoa? Where is the cocoa? You've left out for them to destroy our cocoa. Go to the Ochema and see what is happening. This very morning, send up a drone to our forest and then Quarry area and see how the miners have excavated, destroying the cocoa within the place. You see, it is very sad that we live in a country that the backbone of our economy, it is not a priority to the country.
Oh, all right. So for you,
my brother, it is very sad. The 1,300 is not acceptable. Well, they've announced it. Others will go in for it. Fine. But then I just want to tell Cocoa Board that things are happening. There are real things that has been happening. They are not on the ground.
All right.
Getting to report and other things, that report might be fake. We have the real and authentic report that there is not single cocoa in this country.
Right. There's no cocoa in this country, and you're saying you have the report. Just before I go back to Fifi Boafo, Doc, I'll bring you in. Dr. Theo Champong, just hold for me. Before I go back to Fifi, Nana, just clarify for me. Just give me a straightforward answer. So you are saying that with the prices and everything that is happening, and you referred to what those at Cocoa Board are earning as salary, those at the top, do you feel ripped off?
We feel being betrayed, and we feel being. What we need is they should give us a free trade. Let us sell our own cocoa. Because looking at selling your own cocoa, you will make more money than somebody being a middleman to sell it for you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let me bring in Fifi Boafo. Fifi also has to attend to other matters. Fifi Boafo, you've heard what Nana has said. He also makes mention of the point, which in some respect is true if you follow the trajectory of Nigeria and, of course, burgeoning population so they can produce more. The threat of other countries overtaking Ghana. There's the galamsey bit, many farmers selling to galamseyers, some converting to rubber plantations and all of that. But I don't know, Fifi, whether it was you I heard over the weekend or so, talking about the fact that indeed the amount of cocoa we used to get on a weekly basis has dwindled by quite a lot. I don't know whether that was you or Nana or someone else I heard. How do you respond to these concerns?
Well, thanks again. I think Nana has said quite a number of things. Sometimes I admire the passion, but he has to moderate the passion with fact in order to get this conversation on track. Because talking about Cocoa Board staff and how much they earn, I do not think that in the period of even 10 years, Cocoa Board staff has seen 63% increment in their salary. So if you use it as a basis for your argument, clearly you are getting it wrong. He talks about the farmer and their representatives.
But Fifi, I don't think you should go there because you know it's relative. That conversation is very relative.
I am just making the point that even in 10 years, Cocoa Board staff will not see 63% increment. It is a tangential issue which is not necessary for this conversation. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to focus on at this point. But let me get back to it. He talks about the fact that he has an association and he believes that he must be on the table and determine the price. We have an association in this country that represents the cocoa farmers across the country, with a majority of cocoa farmers being members of that association, who were part of the Digital Price Review Committee in determining the price. National Cocoa Farmers Award Winners Association. They represent people who have won awards in the cocoa industry over the years. They are part of the people who take the decision. So if you say that you have an association, and because of that, because the process you are not on the table, it means that farmers are not represented, and something is being pushed down the throat of farmers. Please, it is not fair, and it's not a way to go. But back to the point that, well, you don't have APC, you don't have this, you don't have this. Cocoa Board can only do how much resources available to Cocoa Board to address some of these concerns. So if you say roads, port hospital, cost of living, all these things, in relation to what? How much does Cocoa Board have available to be able to perform every single thing? Don't forget that Cocoa Board has a responsibility and a mandate. He was talking about the fact that a pod of cocoa is how much. I'm wondering which package that is sells a pod of cocoa and how much is able to sell that. But in terms of what is happening, just do a juxtaposition of other businesses we have in our country and ask yourself, how much increment are other industries seeing compared to the farmers? I'm not saying that the farmers do not deserve what they are getting. They do deserve it, and with the opportunity, should earn even more. But when you are making these comparisons, you should also look at the facts available and have meaningful conversations around it.
Okay, there are some angles you've not answered. I know you have to take leave of us, so let me just lump them together and you answer, and then we can call it a conversation with you. Mention is made of the fact that he says, quoting Nana, he says, there's no cocoa in Ghana. Well, he may not mean that the trees are all gone and we are not producing, but he's basically saying production has dwindled, or the number of farmers and all of that. I was referencing someone over the weekend who was saying that there had been a huge drop in production, the stock that you take every week at Cocoa Board or every month. I'd also like to find out from you, this new pricing, do you feel it's going to stem the tide of smuggling cocoa to neighboring Cote d'Ivoire, Togo and all of that?
Well, the issue about non-existence of cocoa in our country obviously is not the case.
I've put it into context for you.
Very well, I'm addressing that. The point you made about reduction in terms of the volume to where it was largely due to the expectation that we're going to see a price increase. I think it was widely speculated. So the licensed buying companies, when they buy it from the cocoa farmers, they decide to keep it and wait for the new price and sell. So definitely it won't affect how much cocoa we're taking in at the latter part of the season. We admit that there's been some huge smuggling that has happened. And it was largely because, if you realize, at the time we increased the cocoa price in October last year, between October to December, that is when we saw the high depreciation of the cedi. And that is what affected how much value the farmer was getting, and it influenced cocoa crossing the border. This time around, we are not having that challenge we had last year. The cedi has remained stable relatively. And we have also had conversations before announcing the price, and we do not see anything significant that will facilitate the cocoa being smuggled to our neighboring countries. And we believe that this new price will address that concern we're all talking about at this point.
Mr. Boafo, thank you very much for having joined the conversation. He is Public Affairs Director at Ghana Cocoa Board, or Cocoa Board, as we usually call them. Let me bring in Dr. Theo Champong. So just to clarify the figure that you put out initially, I heard you talk about, I think something upward of, was it 1,300, you said, because Fifi Boafo took you on that. And then what your reaction is to Nana saying that they are actually worse off. There is a very turbulent, tricky situation that they have to go through now.
Yeah, so let me start with the figures. Fifi is very right. So I was actually confusing the amount per bag and the amount per ton in my earlier submission. Hence why I actually predicated that with if my numbers are right. But I've actually checked the numbers now. So
you were mentioning 1,800 at first, right?
Yes. So currently on a bag basis, let's work with the cedis.
Right.
We can convert to dollars, right? So on a cedi basis, per ton is 20,943 cedis, and that's roughly $1,800 thereabouts.
Right.
So if you assume that the price of cocoa that the cocoa board forward sold to the respective buyers, and Fifi gave us a price of $2,600, then in relative terms, what the farmer is getting is about 71% of that price, which is being passed on to them. And I think that's positive and something that is commendable in that regard. What I started off earlier with was using the cedi equivalent per bag to do the calculation, but actually when you use the new numbers per ton and you do the conversion into dollars, it works out about the same as Fifi is saying. But that does not negate the fact that there are other issues that are affecting farmers. And it's not just with this current price or crop season. You have to go back a couple of years to look at issues of the farm productivity, issues of the smuggling and the galamsey and things that we're talking about. And then fundamentally ask yourself, even with this major price, adjustment or increment, would it possibly stem smuggling or galamsey or people converting their cocoa farms into, rubber plantations and things like that? I think the evidence on that is mixed. And we may not necessarily see a stem of that type in that regard. And then on the point about, again, the farmers and the impact on their livelihoods. If you do the analysis and you look at the input cost that goes into the production of the cocoa and all of that, yes, a 63% price increment is commendable. You're passing almost 70% of the price to the farmer. But if you relate that to how much they're spending to produce the crop and to nurture the crop and all of that over various number of years, you will still see that relatively they are still poor in that regard. And there's lots of empirical evidence around that support the point that I am making in that regard. And so it leads then to a third point, which is, okay, if the farmers are getting 70% and Cocoa Board and others are getting 30% of the price, is it fair, like the farmer union person is saying? And so from a policy point of view, should we push for a policy that, for example, passes as much as maybe 80-85% of the price to the farmer, and then subsequently get Cocoa Board and others, to retain, 10-15% for their operational purposes? Those are the sort of policy considerations that I think are important. The second policy consideration also is at the level of Cocoa Board itself, we know that the cocoa is forward sold. So it's not like you're buying it on the spot market, like Fifi was saying. But given the way the market has been behaving and the dynamics, perhaps is it time that we think about maybe a mixed strategy that allows us to sell part of that to the market forward sale and then others on the spot market to maximize the potential revenue that Cocoa Board gets and ultimately passes it on to the farmers. Those, I think, are really like the important consideration.
Doc, I'll let go of you shortly. I know you also have to knock off, but I'm posing this question to both of you. So I'll let you answer first, and then I'll cap it off with you. Our cocoa production has been at risk over the last few years. There's been a lot of talk, lots of concerns, some of which we've mentioned. Galamsey, rubber plantations, people moving away from cocoa production for these. But the president hints in Tepa that the cocoa industry is witnessing unprecedented transformation under his administration with the introduction of the productivity enhancement interventions that have positively impacted the sector. Quoting him, he says, the transformational projects are having positive impact on productivity, incomes, and climate resilience. What do you make of this to cap off the conversation from your end? Is the president being overly optimistic, or is he suggesting that more has been done than actually has been done?
So there are a number of interventions that have happened in the sector. In fact, we're involved in doing some work currently where we're interviewing farmers in various regions of the country. And when you look at some of the responses that are coming through, and then also subsequently you look at the published literature, there are serious issues of productivity and the farms being overaged. We've talked about Galamsey and things like that. So the interventions that are going in to address those issues, typically you tend to have a lag, and you could have as much as 3 to 5 year lag between when you make an intervention and then when it begins to show in terms of your cocoa yield and the farms being much more healthier and all of that. So I see where the president is coming from, but I think when you look at the data, perhaps it's early days yet to be making those assertions and claims. But definitely what one cannot sort of deny is the fact that there have been some interventions in the sector to try and address these productivity issues and try and even improve the welfare and the well-being of the farmers. But it takes time to actually see that now coming through into the data on cocoa harvest or production and eventually the sales.
Dr. Theo Champro, thank you so much for engaging us this morning. I will wish you the best of the day. Let me wrap up with Nana. So having listened to the conversation, the responses from Fifi Boafo and all the dynamics, what would be your parting comments? And again, do you agree with Mr. President when he says that his government has implemented quite a number of transformational projects that are having a positive impact on productivity, incomes, and climate resilience? What's your reaction?
With what the president said, if the president have any thanksgiving to give, he has to thank Dr. Friatoto for saving the situation. Because as for cocoa, they did nothing. I know what I'm talking about. When the farmers were in serious crisis, destruction was in the peak. Cocoa turned their back to the farmers. When they were using dust and other things, chasing us, beating us, destroying the state crop, which now others are benefiting. Because of that, others have some pedigree to live. What were they? Nothing. So the president don't have to take the credit and then give the credit to Cocoa Board and other things. This is a photo that did most of the job. Fine, let me come back to the question. What is happening now within the cocoa industry? It is very alarming. I'll be very happy that we send the reporters across the various cocoa growing areas for them to speak to the cocoa farmers themselves and see what is happening. New price, fine. But at the end of the day, where is the cocoa? Where is the cocoa? You know, if you know you are going to come out with a new price like this, why is it that you will not get to the farmers and then talk to the farmers? We were giving out their cocoa trees for this volunteers and other things. It is we, the concerned farmers, that went to the various farming communities, engaging these farmers, telling them that no, now the cocoa have, how do you call it, a surprise for us. So at the end of the day, we need to keep our cocoa. We did all these things on our own way, with our own resources and everything. Cocoa Board did nothing about it. There are series of reports that we are even giving to Cocoa Board, which is never even minor, telling us that it is an economic situation. A farmer can choose to destroy cocoa and plant rubber or do any other things with it. So as I'm speaking now, with the price will not change anything. With the price will not change those that you are smuggling the things, not to smuggle it. Because at the end of the day, when we told them that they were smuggling cocoa, they said nothing. There was nothing like smuggling. Look at it. And as I'm speaking to you, there was nothing. There was no cocoa. If they think there was cocoa, they should forget it. Because most of the trees that they say, only 3% of cocoa, the percentage that the government will get will not even get half of it. Unless maybe they buy it from foreign countries and they will come and add up to it, what we have here. Because one, Western North, it has left with only few. And even that bridge that was left, if it is not the young man that was there, that also worked very hard to protect that tree. Like that tree will also go down. So at the end of the day, it is not about the pricing that will be increasing, but then the welfare of the farmers. You see, they are not fighting for the farmers. They are just there about pricing and some other things that we think it is not important to us. We are doing the job for the state. It is not Cocoa Board. They are regulated, but at the end of the day, they do things on their own without even we knowing it. That is the problem. And I'm speaking to you, a lot of things is happening. We don't even have a good school for our place. Now they are cutting down the cocoa rows. There's no good hospital on our side. And when we take our children to the farm, they said it's a child labor. But when a doctor or engineer takes his son to the west side, that one is child labor. So what we are looking at, they should look at the welfare side, which is constitutional. They should look at that side so that at the end of the day, the farmers will be better off. To encourage the young people also to do what? To get into the cocoa production. Other than that, then they should forget at all. Because what? Most of the fertile land that is there for the government of Ghana, for the president to be very bold enough to be in helicopter to move around the place to tell the people to stop. They put wax in their ears thinking that they don't see anything. We send a series of reports to them, including even the presidency. The presidency put wax in their ears, watch the state property to be destroyed. Now you're talking about 1,300. For what? Is that what we need? Is that what we need as farmers? No. It is not.
Right. We'll have to, sew up the conversation here, but it's understandable how passionate you are about these matters. We'll save some for another day. Thank you, Nana, for joining the conversation. You just heard Farmer General Obuade Nanabuating Bonsu, President, Concerned Farmers Association, and he is saying this is basically a drop in the bucket. It's not what they would have expected, contrary to what we also saw in Tepa, where farmers were jubilating. So which is which? There's been a lot of talk, but there are real dynamics beyond that scene. We were also joined by Dr. Theo Champong, a political risk and analyst, and then Fifi Boafo, Public Affairs Director at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We still have a number of conversations yet to come on the show. The IGP and his showing up before that commission, that parliamentary probe committee, if you like, on Tuesday. We're also going to be talking about that explosion in the Shama area in the Western region. But up next, we'll be having a conversation with concerning the Habitat Fair. That conversation will be up next with Elegant Homes. But before we take that break, no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank is the first to introduce double layer tanks, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Just tell them and they'll make it for you. Syntex Tank is the first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now they're introducing to you the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and size of your preference. So Syntex Tank is giving you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank company in Ghana is giving you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demands, choose Syntex Tank. We have agents nationwide as well. You can reach us on 0244 335 168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong Syntex Tank, a tough. Stay with us because we're talking tough up next when it comes to the Habitat Fair and what you should be doing. Welcome back on the AM show. We're talking about your habitat, my habitat, and of course, who doesn't want a good place to live? Usually for those in the middle class, and for all classes, in fact. Once you get a good job, you're earning something, you want to invest in a vehicle to see you through town, and then the next thing, you want to get that dream house. But how do you navigate the territory of affordability, comfort, luxury, and all of that? Well, if you're in the Tema area, we're hitting you between the 15th and the 17th of this month as we go on our road tour. It's all about the Habitat Fair. And today we're having a conversation with Elegant Homes and Construction Limited. We have the Executive Director, Dorothy Kwashi, in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always good to have you. You bring the smiles and everything in between. One of these days, I wish when you're coming, you carry a house and bring it to me here.
Oh, I would gladly do that if it's possible.
Anyway, so we've been here, we've done that, Elegant Homes. I just want you to tease out a bit about what's new with Elegant Homes and Construction before we get to the main subject matter.
What's new is lovely houses, as usual. High quality UPVC windows, door profiles, plaster boards, cornices, and then the gypsum adhesives that make a home complete.
Let's look at the factors that influence, home ownership in Ghana. You would be looking at location. It's crucial.
Very important.
I don't want to mention places, but there's definitely, if you own a property in a certain location versus a certain location, another location, there are always, factors in there and what it means even for your safety. So you consider location, but what else?
Apart from the location, you look at the price, and then you look at the type of house you want and what goes into the house, and then what ladder you are within the financial strain. You get it? If, for example, you are a young person, a single person starting life, obviously you want just something, a place to lay your head. one room, you don't mind. That's why people can decide that I only need a room without any kitchen, I'm fine.
Right.
Because I wake up in the morning, go to work and come back late. But then when you get to settling down, then you want something more than one room. And then when you get to another stage, then you want something more appealing, more comfortable, something very nice in a very serene environment like what we have.
And of course, we even know that some people plan such that they may have a property or they may put up one bedroom knowing that they can expand to 3, 4, 5, depending on, their pockets and the size of the family as things go on. But let's talk now about the role of clients in the housing value chain. What is that crucial role that clients play in the housing value chain? What does it mean for the industry?
It's very crucial because all these houses we are developing are meant to be patronized by clients. So they are the major determinants of what goes into what we do. You just can't do anything and expect that people will buy. When you come to elegant homes, we are more into upper middle class type of properties and very luxurious, very simple. So if you notice, last year we were adjudged best residential developer, middle income luxurious. So that is what we do. For example, the one rolling, look at the environment. So we
lush
want
greenery, very friendly, very scenic.
Just as you are seeing, that is how the place is. So for anybody who is looking at buying in such environment, then elegant homes is the right choice for you. The houses are built very, very well. We use quality materials. They are functional as well. When we talk of functionality, there are some houses, it may be very simple, but it has everything that one needs to make your home comfortable. That's what we have. And then we also give room for people to also come up with their own designs, or for us to design specifically to suit individual taste. So elegant homes.
So you can have your own custom made.
Yes, right from the building stage to the completion stage. So we are with you throughout, from the onset to the finishing. So if you are looking for something like this, something very luxurious, comfortable, and affordable, let me put it there.
Right.
Elegant homes is the right choice for you.
I see. So what has brought you on board? I mean, year in, year out, you've been with us, but especially with this road tour that we are embarking on. What has brought you on board this time, Elegant Home?
Interestingly, people even think we are kind of affiliated to multimedia, because there are sometimes that I receive comments and then people asking me to tell my people, Joy FM, and they don't know that Elegant Homes is quite separate. It's a separate entity. Well, the reason why we keep on coming is that I think Joy FM Multimedia has a platform for advertising and also promoting our business. And secondly, we keep coming because, one, it helps us to generate leads, it helps us to close deals, and it helps us to also meet prospective clients as well. So I think year round, it's been good.
Okay.
Partnering with Habitat Fair.
Now, you've already, walked us through part of what you deliver. We've seen the roads, we've seen the scenery, of course, security and all of that, the availability of access to electricity, water, among others. What can we expect? I mean, those who are coming, hitting Tema, the visitors, your would-be clients, what can they expect when they come to your stalls?
They can always expect the best. In fact, I believe this is the very first time Habitat Fair is hitting Tema, Community 1. We'll be in Community 1. And then interestingly, I grew up in Tema as well, so I'm a Tema girl. Okay. So it's like going back home. Patrons can only expect the best from Elegant Homes. come to our stand, come and let us tell you all that we do. Come and look at our model homes. We'll show our videos. We'll have our UPVC windows. We'll have our plaster boards. We'll have our cornices. And the team is actually ready. And then don't forget, Elegant Homes is also giving out 10% discount on our prices.
10%?
10% discount for every home, for every prospective buyer. Aside that, you get a fitted kitchen as part of your home. You will get a video doorbell. If your house comes with a garage, we will give you a remote controlled garage, and then many more.
I see. Well, if that's your range, if that's what you're looking for, then of course you have to participate in the Habitat Fair and go to the stand of Elegant Homes and Construction Limited. Any final words, Dorothy?
Sure. Just in case you want to visit the site before Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can reach us on 0244 699 053 or 057 659 7419. Or you can send us an email at sales@eleganthomesgh.com or visit our website www.eleganthomesgh.com. All our numbers are on WhatsApp. You can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then all the social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Dorothy, for coming. ElegantHomesGH.com. Check them out. Seeing is believing. If you want a tour, she can arrange it. But do be sure to be there 15th to 17th of this month in Tema Community 1. Habitat Fair and Elegant Homes will be there. Thank you, Dorothy, for coming. So that's our belt this morning on the Habitat Fair. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more action. Welcome back on the AM show. The news we heard over the weekend was not the kind of news we would have wanted from the Anto area and the Shama area of the Western region. Well, today we go back to that conversation which has resulted in that situation which has resulted in the death of 5 people with many more injured. And in fact, facilities in that enclave also affected. We're going to be engaging this morning. From NADMO, we have Mr. Michael Nyan. He'll be giving us the scope on what has been happening in the Anto community in the Western region. And then we shall also engage Erickson Abaka, Member of Parliament for Shama. But if you can hear me, Mr. Abaka, a very good morning to you, gentlemen, first off.
Good morning, Chief.
Is this Mr. Abaka?
Yes, we're speaking.
Do we have Mr. Nyan as well?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay. Thank you for joining the conversation. Mr. Abeka, paint a picture for us. Between just a few days ago when this incident happened, right over the weekend, in fact, and now, what has been the briefing that you have got as Member of Parliament for Shama?
Thank you very much. We woke up yesterday, that Sunday morning, with that bad news. The whole extent of care on Saturday between, I think, 10 to 11 p.m. And when it occurred, men on the ground took charge in the ADMO, the security agencies, the fire service, all the lend support, and then to do the next evacuation. As we heard, it was the explosion was massive, and the damage was very great. So far, it's recorded 5 casualties who have passed on. 5 are currently on admission responding to treatment. Others were discharged after being examined by the health authorities. There are still 4 people, Chinese nationals, who have not been found yet. So yesterday, we had a news that one of them has been found also dead. It means 3 are still, we still searching for the 3. And yet to pick up the latest news from the site. Because yesterday, we had to go to the site, visit the other communities so affected, went to 3 hospitals where the 5 are undergoing treatment.
I see. Interesting dynamics layer. Let me also bring in Mr. Nyan of NADMO. Since this incident happened, what has NADMO been doing on the ground? I mean, you've picked up the information. What has NADMO done so far?
We're not sure.
Hello, Mr. Nyan. Mr. Nyan, can you hear me? Well, we'll have to take a break in here. We'll bring you the scoop on that these matters later. But